and more axioms.
How much time would you estimate people spend indoors? 50%? 70%? The correct answer is an astounding 90%. We're spending more and more time inside our homes and offices. And we're not only cooped up in buildings, we're also overworking, navigating busy commutes, and staring at screens for long periods. None of this is great for our health. For example, almost 200 people die annually in Japan from health issues linked to overworking. But it doesn't have to be this way. Since the 80s, the Japanese have been embracing the great outdoors and all the health benefits that it has to offer. Our stress levels, quality of sleep, and even immunity improve when we spend time in nature. These blinks explain the science behind these positive effects, as well as how to harness them in our own lives.
Blink 1 of 6.
Imagine this. After a stressful week of deadlines and family obligations, you desperately need something to boost your mood and energy. A vacation would be ideal, but unfortunately, you don't have the time or money. But you can take a walk in a nearby park, and something tells you that this will do the trick. That something is right. After about an hour of taking in the trees, flowers, and various sounds of nature, you feel refreshed. You instinctively know that spending time in nature is good for you. What you might not know is that in Japan there's a specific word for basking in nature and connecting with it in a healing way. It's called forest bathing, or in Japanese, shinrin-yoku.
The key message here is, forest bathing is a Japanese practice based on the healing power of nature.
The term shinrin-yoku was coined in the early 80s by Tomohide Akiyama, the Director General of the Agency of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries of Japan. At the time, Japanese people started practicing forest bathing because they believed that being in nature was beneficial. When you consider the centuries-long relationship that the Japanese have with forests, it makes sense that the practice of forest bathing developed there. According to the author, Japan is a forest civilization, whose culture, religion and philosophy are tied to forests. To start, 2/3 of the country is covered in forest. Practitioners of the main religions, Shinto and Zen Buddhism, believe that forests are divine spaces, and Japanese folk tales are about tree-dwelling gods called kodama. Festivals and traditions in Japan also revolve around nature, and one example is Hanami, a spring flower viewing festival. Despite this relationship with nature, many Japanese people today are disconnected from the natural world. An astounding 78% of the population lives in cities. This urbanization trend isn't unique to Japan. The world is becoming increasingly urban. It's estimated that by the year 2050, 75% of the global population will live in cities. Although there are definite perks to city dwelling, it also increases stress. And more stress leads to higher chances of developing health conditions like cancer, strokes, and heart attacks. The good news is that forest bathing is more than refreshing. It also combats stress and improves health, as you'll find out in the next blink.
Blink 2 of 6.
Think back to all the times you've responded to stress by stepping out for some fresh air. Like many who do this, you are likely motivated by instinct. Similarly, Japanese forest bathing in the 80s was driven by an intuitive belief in the positive effects of nature. At the time, and for many years after, there wasn't much hard research on the benefits of forest bathing. But this started to change in 2004, when the author collaborated with Japanese government agencies and academics to establish the Forest Therapy Study Group. The group aimed to understand the connection between trees and human health, and they conducted the very first forest bathing experiment in 2005. Since then, various studies have demonstrated that forest bathing not only improves your mood and quality of sleep, but also strengthens your immune system.
The key message here is, there's scientific evidence that forest bathing supports health and well-being.
In one study, participants embarked on a forest bathing trip aimed at understanding the effects on sleep. Before the trip, participants slept for an average of 6.5 hours each night. During the trip, they walked 1.5 miles through the forest, the same distance they'd walk on a regular day. The result? The average sleep time increased by over an hour. Participants also rated their stress, anger, anxiety, and depression before and after the research trip. Ratings were significantly lower after the trip, and tests even indicated reduced stress hormone levels. Better sleep and moods are undoubtedly great benefits, but the most significant finding from forest bathing research is that it boosts the immune system. Forest bathing trips increased both the number and activity of research participants' natural killer cells, the white blood cells that kill viral infections and tumour cells. These effects lasted for up to 30 days. Now here's the big question. What's behind the positive effects of forest bathing? The answer is in the air. Trees release natural oils called phytoncides to protect themselves from bacteria, fungi, and insects. And when inhaled, phytoncides increase the activity and number of natural killer cells. Phytoncides also boost the activity of anti-cancer proteins, reduce stress hormone levels, and negative feelings like anxiety, tension, and anger. In addition to phytoncides, forest air also contains Mycobacterium vaccae, harmless bacteria found in soil. Like phytoncides, Mycobacterium vaccae boosts immunity. But that's not all. A study at Bristol University in the United Kingdom revealed that exposure to these bacteria has a similar effect to antidepressants. It makes people happier.
Blink 3 of 6.
Now that you know exactly how and why forest bathing is good for your health, you're probably wondering how to reap the benefits. The great news is that you don't need acres of forest in your backyard. You can forest bathe anywhere there are trees, from a nature reserve to a city park, and even your garden. The trick is to choose the environment you find most relaxing. If you enjoy the sound of running water or the scent of damp soil, seek that out. Once you've found your ideal forest bathing location, you need to know what to do. Japanese forest therapy centers have trained guides, but you can also forest bathe on your own. Just engage your senses, starting with sound, sight, and smell.
The key message here is, when forest bathing, listen to nature, appreciate its beauty, and take in the fragrance.
Forest bathing allows you to escape the commotion of urban spaces and enjoy natural silence. The sound of nature without any man-made noise. Think of birds chirping or the wind blowing. Natural silence doesn't only give your ears a break, it's also relaxing. Researchers at Brighton and Sussex Medical School in the United Kingdom found that natural silence stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and relaxation. To really listen to the sounds of nature, try this simple exercise. Sit down somewhere and focus on breathing deeply. This clears your mind and helps you notice the sounds around you. You can even close your eyes to increase your awareness. Speaking of eyes, another aspect of forest bathing is looking at natural colours and patterns. Greens and blues are abundant in nature, and these colours reduce stress and anxiety. Nature is also full of relaxing patterns that repeat themselves at different scales, like flower petals, ripples in water, and shell spirals. These patterns are called fractals, and looking at them lowers stress by up to 60%. So when forest bathing, gaze at all the different patterns you see. While you're looking at nature, take in the pleasant scents. Trees have unique fragrances, and so do the phytoncides and Mycobacterium vaccae in the forest air. Another fragrance you might notice is petrichor, the earthy smell after rain falls. To make the most of all this natural aromatherapy, try doing a few yogic breathing exercises. They'll help you inhale more of the air around you.
Blink 4 of 6.
Think about this scenario for a moment. You order something from a restaurant menu, and when your meal arrives, it looks and smells incredible. You can see that a lot of thought went into presenting it, and the aroma is mouth-watering. But of course, to really enjoy the meal, you have to dig in and savour the textures and flavours. What does this have to do with forest bathing? Well, a similar approach is necessary to enjoy the full benefits of being in nature. Listening, inhaling the scents, and looking isn't enough. You have to get up close and personal.
The key message here is, restore your connection with nature by touching and tasting it.
Using your sense of touch while forest bathing allows you to physically connect with nature, and this creates a more intimate and enjoyable experience. So, pick up rocks and twigs, place your hands and feet in running water, and feel the texture of flower petals, leaves, and tree trunks. Another way to experience nature through touch is to ground yourself. You see, the Earth has a natural low electric charge, and by connecting to this charge, your body receives healing and balancing electrons. To ground yourself, stand on soil, grass, or sand with your bare feet, and do this for about 20 minutes a day. But make sure you don't step on glass or surfaces that have been sprayed with pesticides. So, now you know how to touch nature. What about tasting it? There's a lot of food in forests. You simply have to know what to look for. In Japan, for instance, people have been gathering wild vegetables from forests, grasslands, and marshes for centuries. Not only are these vegetables highly nutritious, they also contain the healing electrons of the earth. Before forest bathing, spend some time learning what plants, flowers, and tree barks are safe to consume. Many of these, like evergreen coniferous trees, are high in vitamins and can be used to make tea. And if you come across a freshwater stream or spring, have a refreshing drink. In addition to your taste buds, forest bathing also awakens a sense of wonder, excitement, and happiness. Canadian researchers have actually found that being in nature expands people's capacity for these positive feelings. So, while forest bathing, pay close attention to how you feel when all your senses are engaging with the elements of nature.
Blink 5 of 6.
In an ideal world, you could spend an hour or two forest bathing whenever you feel like it. However, the reality of work, family commitments, and life in general can make it difficult to head to a forest or park on a whim. But this doesn't mean that you have to miss out completely on the benefits. There are several things you can do to ensure that you're always around nature and its healing and relaxing power. To paraphrase a well-known saying, if you can't go to the forest, make the forest come to you.
The key message here is, bringing elements of nature inside allows you to forest bathe in your home and office.
Having plants around can really brighten up a space, but that's not the only reason to get a potted plant or two. Plants also improve the air quality, so they're a good way to enjoy fresh forest air without leaving your home or office. During the day, plants increase the levels of oxygen in the air by taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Some plants, such as succulents and orchids, also release oxygen at night, making them great additions to your bedroom. Additionally, plants cleanse the air by absorbing toxins released by paint, cleaning products, and cigarettes. And because they introduce moisture into the air and raise humidity levels, having plants around reduces your chances of coughs, sore throats, and other respiratory issues. This is especially helpful in office spaces where air conditioners and heating dry out the air. Another way to bring nature indoors is with the help of essential oils. Oils from conifer trees like redwoods, pines, and cedars can help you create a forest atmosphere. Plus, they contain those incredible phytoncides. Diffusers, candles, and bowls of wood shavings are all effective ways of introducing essential oils into your home or office. Lastly, if you struggle to concentrate while working or feel tense and anxious, listening to the sounds of nature can be a great help in grounding yourself. Forest sounds aren't just relaxing, they also help with focus, and the internet has a host of nature recordings and playlists to choose from. For a dose of restorative electrons, there's a variety of grounding floor mats, bands, and other products that you can use in your workspace.
Blink 6 of 6.
There are some fascinating statistics about the world's forests. About 30% of the Earth's land is covered in forests, and 300 million people call forests home. A further 1.6 billion people rely on forests to survive. Now, keeping these numbers in mind, consider this sobering fact. The world loses over 32 million acres of forest each year. When forests disappear, we don't only miss out on all the ways they make us healthier, we also lose an essential resource. This is why preserving forests and nature as a whole is more important than ever. And it so happens that forest bathing encourages us to take better care of nature.
The key message here is, connecting with nature makes us more likely to preserve it.
By engaging nature with all our senses, in the way that forest bathing requires, we start to experience and appreciate all its beauty and benefits. This helps us build a strong connection with nature, and as a result, we understand the importance of preserving it. Many governments, businesses, and institutions have realized this and have created initiatives to promote mutually beneficial relationships between people and nature. For instance, in Japan, the home of forest bathing, there are over 60 locations dedicated to the practice. Even America now has about 150 park prescription programs that encourage people to improve their health by spending time in nature. And it's not just wild forests that need attention. Urban parks and forests are equally important. In fact, in 2015, the World Economic Forum listed increasing green canopy cover in urban spaces as a top priority. And despite losing trees to real estate developments and road construction, many cities have found innovative ways to introduce more trees and forests. In Paris, France, for example, a 19th century railway was converted into a park that stretches nearly 3 miles. There's one more thing that's essential to the preservation of forests: helping children connect with nature. Not only is this good for their health and development, but studies show that children who spend time in nature become adults who understand the importance of preservation. In Japan and other countries around the world, many schools have started using parks and green spaces as classrooms. Initiatives like these will help ensure that future generations can also enjoy the benefits of forests.
You've just listened to our blinks to Forest Bathing by Ching Lee.
The key message in these blinks is that nature doesn't just refresh you, it's also incredibly good for your health, something the Japanese have known for decades. Reaping the benefits requires fully engaging your senses. You can do this by breathing deeply to inhale the oils and good bacteria that boost immunity, lower stress levels, and make you happier. Taking time to appreciate the sounds, colours, and patterns of nature relaxes you, while touching the earth allows you to receive healing electrons. Nature is also home to various plants that you can consume for a healthy dose of vitamins. And here's some actionable advice. Take your exercise outdoors. If you find yourself struggling to get to the gym or quickly lose motivation while exercising, take your workouts outside. Research conducted at the University of Essex in the United Kingdom shows that exercising in green spaces is less tiring and actually feels easier than exercising indoors. It's also more enjoyable, which means you're much more likely to stick to your exercise routine.
Do you have some feedback for us? Because if you do, then we would love to hear what you think about our content. So just drop us an email to remember@blinkist.com with forest bathing as the subject line and let us know your thoughts.